In comparing Origen and Gregory on these archetypal biblical theophanies, I think it's most helpful to approach the two less as mystics than as mystical theologians, that is, as theologically articulating and contextualizing the mystic's experience, whether that of Peter, James, and John on Mount Tabor, Moses on Mount Sinai, or even us lesser souls who live most of our lives on the spiritual plains or in the spiritual valleys. There are important commonalities between Origen and Gregory that are worth highlighting. Most basically, each in his Theophany exegesis recognizes as axiomatic the alignment of theologia and economia. That entry into the mystery of the triune God, which defies language and conceptualization, is impossible apart from the mystics or the ordinary believers grounding in the biblically revealed economy of salvation, both as a preparatory history and as giving authoritative instruction on doctrinal and social protocols for approaching the inner sanctum of divine presence. Peter, James, and John did not come to Tabor without a collective sacred memory of God's self-disclosures in Israel's past. And doubtless, Christ's transfiguration itself already carried obvious associations with the Sinai theophany. Moses, moreover, did not participate in the theophany without the prior calling of Yahweh to a ministry of shepherding Israel in a tradition rooted in the patriarchal past. Without this historical grounding in a sacred economia, the theophanies would have become merely private moments of enlightenment or transcendence given more to theosophy than theologia. In the same vein, another commonality is Origen's and Gregory's shared conviction that the crucial bridge into authentic theophany is Jesus Christ, the Word incarnate. In Origen's exegesis of the Transfiguration, of course, Christ himself mediates the theophany directly. If that doesn't sound like an oxymoron. In Gregory's exposition of Sinai, Moses is our mediator. But as I pointed out, Christ is the real mediator behind the scenes. He is the rock in which Moses stands as the presence of God passes by on the mountain, shielding and stabilizing Moses, yet also drawing him toward deeper experience of God's glory. Indeed, the Christocentrism of the theophany interpretations of Origen and Gregory goes far to offset the basic differences that Origen is commenting on the New Testament theophany and Gregory on the Old Testament. It equalizes the force of each episode as a revelation of the mysterious triune God. Where we see some contrast is in the much stronger apophaticism of Gregory, the overwhelming consciousness of the ontological gap or diastema that constantly divides human knowledge from the uncreated, ideasthemic God, even at the highest level of encounter with God in the cleft of the rock. Moses' experience is not just a sublime illumination by the darkness of God's presence. It is always a chastening, a disciplining of his intellectual and spiritual exploration. In Origen, however, the admonition to the disciples not to broadcast the Transfiguration, to keep appropriate silence about it, is less an apophatic warning about trying to conceptualize or articulate their experience of a transformative divine light than a prophetic signal that there is a greater show of divine glory about to take place in the mystery of the resurrection. At the end of the day, the commonalities between Origen and Gregory outweigh, I believe, their differences. For both these sacred moments of divine theophany are gifts to the church. Through them, we who struggle in faith and virtue are given a glimpse into the mystery of God, meant to be experienced only by morally and spiritually advanced believers. With Peter, James, John, and Moses as our proxies or our trailblazers on the mountain. But this divine revelatory generosity, this cracking open the door so to allow us all, even in our immaturity, to have some share in the disclosure of glory, however faint or fleeting, can only be a stimulus to move forward and upward, to experience the mystery of God in a more sustained and intimate way. Meanwhile, believers at any and every level of maturity can stand confidently in the rock that is Jesus Christ, who in his incarnation has already become the ultimate Theophany.